Happy Wednesday to all. Happy Wednesday, March 8th. It is good to be back. It's always good to be back. These 121 event this past weekend was very eventful. Lots going on. Lots of people. Events like this can become, they do get a little exhausting because there's so many people. There's lots of conversations, lots of discussions, lots of classes. A lot of people bring a lot of energy. And then also everybody likes to let loose a little bit too in the evening times. So they're great events. They're great networking events, great opportunities to meet agents and other brokerages. If you bring a stack of business cards and you go and you talk to people, you will create some more relationships. I don't know how many pictures I saw of some of our agents, let alone other agents as well, that posted pictures with people they've met at past and previous conventions and reconnected with, still stay in contact with throughout the year all the time, and build great relationships. So today I want to talk about, it's just some reminders really, some takeaways from this past event, but also along the lines of what's going on in the market, how we are blessed to be in the place that we are in, and different talking points. And also a lot of this is going to be kind of directed towards you, the agent, because you are the only one that gets to decide. I was talking with Jeff Beggins, just personal stuff and little things like, so I've got a 5 and an 8-year-old, and he's got I think a 7 and 3. And it's so important that we try to help them shape and mold their mind and teach them the direction of their thoughts, the direction of their actions and emotions, and teach them that they have control over that. And they are not just at the whim of everything and everybody around you, which is something that as adults, we can tend to struggle with. So simple things like just giving them a talk track in their mind. Like this morning, I'm playing affirmation videos with music behind him because there's a beat to it. And, my 5-year-old can listen to that and he'll repeat it at this beat to this song. Now he has this song stuck in his head. And throughout the day, the song that's stuck in his head has those repetition of some of those words. It's, you are doing these things to help the children, but we start doing things to help you. So we're going to talk some about mindset. We're going to talk some about the market. We're going to talk some about just creating some positive reinforcing things for you and reminders. So reminder, this market is what you decide to make of it. So one thing Jeff asks his son, and I've started asking my kids this every morning, is what kind of day is it going to be today? And he says, it's going to be a great day. I said, and who gets to decide that? He says, I do. So I want to ask you, what kind of market is this market going to be this year? It's going to be a great market. And who gets to decide that? I do. You do. You get to decide that. You get to decide what the market's going to be like, because you get to decide the actions that you're going to take. Because no matter what happens, in 2008, we went from 5.5 million home sales down to like 4.5 million home sales in an epic real estate crash. Everybody remembers that, when happened. But even so, during that time, it still was over 4 million home sales. But at the same time, we went from like 1.2, 1.5 million agents or so, and it dropped down much lower than that. So you lose like 400,000 agents and you lose 1 million home sales. And in essence, everybody who's still active basically starts to get a raise, because you're still going to have home sales. They're still going to happen. So you get to dictate what the market is going to be like in your world. And so what kind of market is it going to be? It's going to be a great market. And who gets to decide that? I do. I get to decide what the market's going to be like, because I get to decide the actions I'm going to take, the people I'm going to talk to, the things I'm going to do. So I'm going to reiterate a few things. I'm going to reiterate a few things for you. The first one is, like, I know these are a little long, but these are, take any one of the sentences in these two types of statements. These are just some statements, some clarity statements, some certainty statements, some affirmation statements, because this has been our credence. This has been our slogan for the past 6 to 8 months as things started to shift. is we choose not to participate in any of the recessionary activities of this market or the economy. We choose not to participate. So this past weekend, when we're sitting talking to a lot of different brokers and a lot of companies and a lot of agents and a lot of people, and hearing the things that they're talking about, and even in some of the classes, you're hearing a lot of fear and doubt. Just simple. What type of market is this going to be? With a fear and doubt mindset, well, it's going to be a little shaky. It's not going to be that certain. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm a little uneasy. I'm hoping to make sure I get a couple deals more than I did before, whatever that is. Well, who gets to decide that? Well, I don't know. The market, the economy, the president, the local boards. You're leaving everything up to chance. So a lot of people are coming in with a fear mindset. We need to step into it with a certainty mindset of what's going to go on. So just trying to give you a narrative for yourself that you can repeat to yourself and tell yourself. And that simply is, we choose not to participate in any of in this recessionary period of real estate or the economy. We know that our outcomes are in direct correlation and proportion to our mindset, intentions, and actions. The more I control the thoughts I experience and the direction of my focus, the better the quality of my emotions and my actions. When my mind is clear and focused and my intentions are strong, my body and actions will follow. It is in times like these that I will be and provide what the market and consumers need most. That's a powerful intention statement. That's a powerful narrative. That's a powerful slogan. That's a powerful certainty statement. That if you can adopt that, any one of those sentences would be very powerful for someone to adopt and say to themselves, to remind themselves every day of what their actions are. And here's another one that you can use. There is no real estate market. There's only the market that I create with my intentions and my actions. If I do not intend and I do not act, there is no market. Conversely, when I act with the leverage of strong intentions, I create the market I desire. Buyers and sellers will continue to interact and transact, and it is my choice and decision to create a real estate market for myself and my team that thrives and provides immeasurable value. And I will act today in accordance with the intentions that I set. So, just wanting to remind you, there's plenty of people that are fearful, but there's also plenty of people that are still out there killing it because they are not fearful. They know that their actions, their intentions will create the market that they desire, and they will still have a good amount of home sales, sometimes more than what they did last year in one of the best real estate markets ever, because they will decide to show up. Do you realize there are companies that are out there across the nation who they're so fearful that they jumped into this year and they started laying people off? There's not just real estate. This is all across the different sectors. There are companies that are doing that out of fear. Craig and the leadership team, they've just decided to not do that because he believes what these statements say. And he believes in each and every single one of you that you have that same capacity and same ability to show up for yourself every single day and create the market that you want, the market that you desire, and the business that you want. And that's why we've doubled down on our engagement, on our interaction, on our accountability by doing a mastermind class, getting you guys to show up. I want you to take these actions. And then I want you to come back and be held accountable and tell me about the things that you did and the results that you got. And then we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. And then we're going to tweak those things. We're going to talk about those things and see what you could do differently. And we're going to stay on top of the trends that are there, because the trends are going to give us different ideas of what to do and what to stay ahead of. So when you think about the market, that there is no market, just a market that we create, that leads me to this statement. Stop saying the market is crazy. I talked about this just about 1 year ago. It was in April. Stop saying the market is crazy. We're still saying the market is crazy because it's unlike any other market that we've ever seen before. But if you leave yourself at the mercy of the market, you will be constantly chasing your tail because the market is crazy. And if the market is crazy, it's completely unpredictable. Just like politics, just like a lot of the sides of economics, just like other people, completely unpredictable. But what is predictable is your intentions and your actions. You can predict what you are going to do. And if you predict what you're going to do and how you're going to feel and how you're going to show up, you can predict the outcomes that you're going to create within a certain range. So stop saying the market is crazy. The more you say the market is crazy, the more you start to think and feel the market is crazy. And if you think and feel the market is crazy, you're less likely to take any action. And when you do take action and you start talking to buyers and sellers and you say, yeah, the market's just crazy, their confidence is going to wane on you because they're not going to feel that level of confidence out of you because that's not what you're projecting. You're projecting fear and doubt. You're not projecting confidence. You're not projecting certainty. If you told somebody, yeah, the market's crazy, I don't know what interest rates are going to do. I'm not sure what the prices are going to do. You could buy this home and I don't know. Is it a good time to buy? Well, I mean, it could be. You need to start shifting your thoughts and your attitudes, intentions, and statements into a certainty level. Even if you don't know with absolute certainty what the outcome is going to be, know with absolute certainty that you are the best person for the job and you can inform them and advise them on making a good decision based on where they're at in this life. Because that's what we are. We're real estate advisors. We're real estate counselors. We're real estate consultants. And this is a people and communications business, not just real estate. It's not our job to predict the market. It's our job to provide an immeasurable level of value to the consumers that are there. And we do that by showing up with a level of certainty and conviction and confidence that we are the best person for that job. And if we put that best foot forward every single day and show up every single day with that kind of attitude and intention, you will create the market that you desire. And it does not matter what the real estate market is doing, because if you do that, you will be providing an immeasurable amount of value, and you will be compensated in direct proportion to the amount of value that you provide to the consumers. So continue to provide that value, you'll be directly compensated. So what you're telling yourself as well as your clients, that whole mindset, like I just said, you're telling yourself it's crazy. You're telling your clients it's crazy. And that is going to dictate the direction of the rest of the conversation and the engagement that you have with them. So we need to dial that back in. The market is not crazy. It's complex, it's complicated, and it's competitive. Still, compared to last year, it is still complex, it is still complicated, and it is still competitive. 100% still. These things still apply. And I'm going to show you some reasons why. And some of them are the same reasons why. The same reasons why it was complex, complicated, and competitive before are the same now. Some of them have shifted a little bit, but it all still applies. Couple of comments. I had a guy ask me this week, how was the market? I replied, excellent. There are many buyers and sellers ready for the perfect agent. Here's my card. Awesome. Dude, that's perfect, David. I love it. It's a little frustrating when an expired homeowner is given up selling, but they have 500K in equity doing nothing. Well, I mean, it shouldn't be frustrating to you. It's not your house. That's you being attached to the outcome. Don't be attached to the outcome. How can I help provide more value? He doesn't see the value that we provide. So we have to try to provide more value. And the value that we may provide to him may make him decide to not sell it right now or access that equity right now. And any one of them is okay. Being frustrated we need to stop being frustrated with that, because any one of the outcomes is okay. Whether you buy, whether you sell, whether you use your equity, or whether you sit there and do nothing, any one of them are okay, because if that's the decision you make and that's where you are comfortable, then that's okay. I just want to make sure that you know that you have options. It's about people in communication, not the real estate. I'm going to advise you on the real estate so that you can make the best decision that you need to make that for your family. So right now, professionals are needed more than ever. Still, you will always be needed. Always. Think about it. This is a time where the general public has more access to information than ever. And for all intents and purposes, they could do it on their own with all of that info. They could. Can you Google anything? Yes. If you Google anything, can you get the answer? Yes. Would you get the right answer? Maybe. Would you get multiple answers? Probably. How do you know which one is going to be the right one? Trial and error if you've never done it before. That's why they need us. But they could, in essence, do most of this on their own. They're not going to get the best outcome, but they could do it. So with everything going on around us in the economy and the real estate market, in our individual hyper-local markets, in your neighborhood markets, in your cities, they need a professional now more than ever to advise them. Because when prices were up here and then the market crashed in 2008, they needed advice. They needed to know what to do. And now when prices went through the roof and we had 70% equity in our area compared to 30 to 60% equity in some other areas of the country, they needed advice. Do I sell? Do I rent it out? Do I just access the equity and buy an investment property? Do I upsize? Do I downsize? Do I stay in this area? Do I go to that area? Do I buy waterfront? Do I buy? That's where they need someone that has the knowledge that you have to give them information. It's not your job to tell them that now's the right time to sell. It's your job to tell them, tell me a little bit more about what you are hoping to accomplish. And let me tell you how I could possibly help you and what options there are for you. And that's just providing value. So continue to provide that value to them. So with all of that access to information that the public has, the percentage of people using a real estate agent has consistently gone up in consecutive years, the last 7 years. Would you say that in the last 7 years, technology has gotten better or worse? Better. Would you say that your access to information has gotten easier or harder? Easier. So a homeowner or a home buyer who wanted to buy or sell a home has more access to information. It's easier to get, where they could find out all the information they need to do this without you. Yet they've been using agents more every single year for the last 7 years in a row. That number continues to go up. So as their access to information gets greater, they still don't have the confidence to do it because probably they have access to all the information that you have and they're overwhelmed and have no idea how to compartmentalize all of that. So they need you. So you need to show up and provide the most amount of value. You need to separate yourself and then be the go-to professional. So how many of you could articulate what you specifically and strategically do to get a listing, to get a prospect, go through the interview, present to them? How many of you could specifically and strategically articulate these steps? Market the listing, price it, navigate and negotiate, create a competitive environment. Even in today's market, we are still seeing multiple offers and you still can create a competitive environment. What about sell and leverage the listing? Meaning put it on the market and leverage that listing to get more opportunities, more buyers, other sellers, get more buzz going on around it. Navigate and negotiate from contract to closing. Get a buyer the best deal ever on a home when they are uncertain of what the market is. How many of you could strategically and specifically talk to a homeowner or a home buyer and explain that process with absolute confidence, not worrying about what the market is doing? Because it doesn't matter what the market's going to do. This is our process. These are the tools you have. These are the resources. You need to be confident about these steps and these actions. You need to be able to show up and articulate that to homeowners and home buyers. So why is the market still complex? Well, it's complex on a seller side. Is it still complex? If you have any examples how you would say, yes, this is still a very complex market for sellers. Even in the time when it was a year and a half ago, where it was so easy to sell a home, all you had to do was put it on the market. It almost didn't matter what you did, it would sell. It was still complex because we could have probably sold it for more if they would have used us. So pricing, is pricing still complex? 100% complex. You could pick the price that the comps show in the last 6 months, even the last 3 months. You could pick the price that the comps show the home would sell at, and it would be 100% right based on the comps, and it still won't sell. That's pretty complex. You have to be able to articulate that to a home seller. You have to be able to talk about those things. Hey, we price it 100% right based on what else is sold in this market. And that's what the appraiser is going to use. And this could show that we could sell it for 500,000 and it could not sell. Because when we look at the pendings, the buyers are telling us that they are not selecting the $500,000 homes right now. They're selecting the 485 homes, and all the 485 homes had this, that, pool, no pool, whatever the case is, compared to yours. So these are the ones that are under contract, and they're under contract and their listing price was a little bit less, or that home was a little bigger and a little nicer than yours, but the price is exactly how your home should comp out. So we need to talk about how do we strategically position it. Then you look at the actives, and there's still homeowners that are being very greedy, throwing the price up still $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 more than what the comps would show or what the market will bear. They're still doing that. And then it expires in 15 days or withdraws in 15 or 30 days because they didn't get any activity because they weren't advised properly. It's a very complex market with pricing. Then you also have to consider builders. Builders are offering all kinds of incentives. So just because your home is 2 years old, why wouldn't they go buy the brand new one that's offering closing cost assistance, rate buy downs, giving you other incentives, all these extra stuff so you can add this or put that in. There's a lot of complexity to this market. Some people are pricing it again like it was a year ago, and quite frankly, they missed the boat. They missed that opportunity. But then, wait a minute, did they? Did they really miss that opportunity? Because are there some homes that are still selling with multiple offers and over asking price? Yes. Are there some homes that are still selling? You're like, man, I still can't believe that that one went up at that price and sold at that price. None of the other pending sold for that price. None of the other ones that are pending, they were not that high, and this home didn't seem that much nicer than them. Why did a buyer choose that one over these? And why was a buyer willing to pay 50 grand more for that one than these? That's complex. They need a real estate advisor to walk them through all of this. And then talk about pricing strategies and market timing. How do we go on market? How do we know when to reduce the price? How do we know when to do open houses? How do we know how long to wait? How do we judge feedback? How do we do all those things? Multiple offers. Why is it still complex? Multiple offers still, but here's the difference. We saw one with multiple offers that was like $1.4 million, had multiple offers, and it sold for less than $1.4 million. It didn't sell for the full price. Then we saw another one go on the market, didn't have multiple offers, but it sold in the first 3 days of $1.9 million, sold in the first 3 days. Then we're seeing other homes that are on the lower end of that spectrum selling with multiple offers and going over asking price. That's pretty complex. They need someone like you. But if you're saying it's crazy, that means that you don't understand these things. And you have to be able to articulate these. So when we adopt a different strategy, look, the market's complex, the market's complicated, and it's competitive. And that's exactly why you need a professional like me. You need someone like me who's going to hold your hand through this entire process and be able to articulate and show you exactly what's going on at any given time. And to be able to tell you the truth about what's going on in this market, not just tell you, yeah, we can do it, we'll sell it at that. I need to be able to tell you the truth. This is my confidence level. This is where your pricing should be in this range based on what the market is telling me. Here's the sold comps, which got me to the high end of that range, but here's what's pending, and it's definitely pushing near the lower end of that range. So anywhere in there is a good place to start. If you want to go higher than that, my confidence level goes down. We can do that. I'm not telling you that you can't try to put that much money in your pocket, because look at this one home that did sell like that. Are you like them? Do you have those updates? Roof, AC, pool, larger yard, nicer. Do you have all of those things? Yes, then maybe we can try that. But I need to talk about strategy if we don't get that within a first certain period of time. That's what you need to show up like when you're talking to them, because that's what they need to hear. What else? Navigating multiple showings and offers. So you're going to get opportunities. We have one over here on Surfside Boulevard, $900,000 basically. Tons of showings, tons of people coming through open houses. I mean, 20 to 30 a day coming through open houses. How do you do that? What's the best strategy for it? Do open houses all weekend, just one day? Try to get people in just for the open houses, allow showings all the time. You know, the seller could be a little inconvenienced. Make sure the seller understands what could happen. And then how do you navigate if you do get multiple offers? Or if you do get offers, how do you navigate through that? These are the things you want to let them know. These things are still happening. Make sure that you create the value. I can help you do this. Open houses and marketing we talked about. So when do we make adjustments? How do you make price reductions? Well, you have to look and see what the market will bear. So it's complex. How do we know when to do it? Well, what's the national average? I think it's a 45 to 60 day supply of homes. But some of our areas are still showing a 30-day supply of homes or 20 to 30-day supply of homes. So that means 20 to 30 days on market. Some are showing 45. So what do? Depending on the price they choose, do you wait longer? Do you do it quicker? You have to let them know, look, if we put this home on the market, this was my range. You decided you wanted to go really high on that range, and I'm okay giving you that opportunity. It's not my job to tell you you cannot try to make that much money. It's my job to tell you what I feel the possibility is. I feel this is the range. You're going here. My confidence level does start to go down the higher we go over that. So what I would like to propose to you is, since the range is here, and based on our data on my SPA, my strategic pricing analysis, it shows that the month supply of homes, the inventory, the absorption rate shows that the homes should be absorbed in your market within 30 days. So if we go on the market and we have no showings, no offers, nobody through the open houses, no calls, no anything within the first 2 weeks, then we miss the market. We miss that mark. So I'm going to recommend after 2 weeks, we make a price reduction to try to get closer to my range. And here's the number I would like to get to. And then write it in your listing agreement. If the home is not under contract within a certain number of days of active marketing, the price will be reduced to, pick a price. And then put as many of those in that you want till you get to the range that you need to be in. And then we'll sit there and that's where you want to be. Good. I know you want to try this, but this is where you want to be. Let's get to there and then let's just sit. And I will do everything I can, but I just need you to understand, you never get a first and a second chance to make a first impression. So our first impression is going to be very important, but I will do everything I can to maximize that value for you. It's also complex. So where are they moving to? How do you do that? How do you navigate through the moving process? How do you give up a 3% interest rate for a 6.5% interest rate? How do you talk to them about that? They're going to sell their 3,000 square foot home, or their 2,000 square foot home to upsize to a 3,000 square foot home. That home is going to cost more. Even if they use their equity to put into the next one, how do we do that? How do we time that? How do we do the contingency? How do we navigate when we get offers on your list, on our listing for your property, and we haven't found that other home yet? How do we pan that out? How do we play that timeline out? There's a strategy for all that. Then How do we make them feel comfortable with the decision that they need to make because they're saying they need to do it? And what advice and what numbers and what feedback do we give them about the interest rates being the way that they are? And they're going to take this money and they're going to put it in their home. They're still going to be paying. They're still going to be paying a significant amount more for that next home, possibly. That's why they need you to be able to give them that advice and tell them what their options are. Get them in contact with a lender. Here's everything out there. Yes, you're fully approved. We get it into underwriting. Let's get an underwritten approval. Now we can go shop and we know that we're confident there. We can put your home on the market. We can get it under contract. We can negotiate a longer close, give you some time. Then we go and get an offer on yours. There's plenty of ways there's still programs that you can buy before you sell. And those programs have adjusted their fees and their timelines to make it more palatable for a seller to use that program and them get that loan. So the programs are still there, and those are still great options. Prep the home for the market. Back to basics. A lot of people, not necessarily us, a lot of people got away from the basics of prepping a home for the market, painting, staging, fixing, professional photos, curb appeal, doing all of the right things, doing a pre-loved home, getting all of the documentation, the property disclosure, the insurance, getting all of that up front. A lot of people didn't do that. And that was to their detriment. I can't say unequivocally, but I can say I am fairly certain that if they would have done it the right way, they would have made more money. They would have created more confidence in the buyer and to make a better offer before, and they would have made a higher offer and they would have made more money if they would have did it the right way. Or do I sell to an investor? Do I do a cash offer? Or do I rent my home out? What do I do? Somebody help me. That's what they need. They need your help. How is it complex for buyers? Okay, number one, do you have a real buyer? What is a real buyer? Someone who knows exactly where they need to go within a timeline they have to be there, and they're qualified to make that move. Do you have a real buyer? Are there buyers that have been on the fence, off the fence, on the fence, off the fence, on the fence, off the fence, on the fence, off the fence over the last year and a half, 2 years? Yes, there's tons of them. Are they off the fence, on the fence? Are they still straddling the fence? Do they have their toe in the water over here? They don't know what they want to do, some of them. So you're going to show them homes just for them to, I just don't think it's ready. The interest rate ticked up another 0.25%. So do you have a real buyer? Have you had these conversations with them about where are you moving to? How soon do you have to be there? Are you qualified to make this purchase? Talk with the lender. Here's where the numbers are going to be. Let's get on a Zoom call, look at the maps, and I'm going to show you where all the pricing is, all the homes that are in the area you want to be in, what the price is. Now, based on your pre-approval and this price, this is what your payment would be. If the interest rate goes up a 1/4 point or a 1/2 point, are you still comfortable making that move? Do you have the funds to do that? These are all conversations to have once you've earned their trust. You have to get them to like, know, and trust you and connect with you, and then you can earn their trust and show them and talk to them more in depth about these things. We don't have these conversations on the first call. We don't do that. You don't talk about these things on the first call because you're going to scare them away. Get their trust first so they know. If you don't have their trust and you're telling them these things, they're going to be scared. They're going to go to their wife or their husband and say, hey, yeah, I talked to an agent today. Man, it seemed really crazy. And I don't know if this is the right decision for us right this time. So earn their trust, get them into your circle, and let's start having conversations with them. Now that you have their trust, they will trust you to be the trusted advisor to walk them through all of this, because it's not crazy anymore. It's just complex, competitive, and complicated. And I've got the right person to walk me through it. That's the difference. What else? Prepping for the road ahead, having the conversations on what to expect. Before it was, Mr. Buyer, are you prepared to offer over asking? Are you prepared to waive your inspection or your appraisal? Are you prepared? Can you do this? Will you do that? What are you willing to do? Will you write an escalation clause? Are you willing to pay over asking on a home? Because if you're not willing to do that, I just need you to understand that it might be difficult. Here, look at the map. Now it's not like that. We still have multiple offers, but the conversations are, Mr. Buyer, there are still multiple offers. I know you feel that the market has shifted and changed, and I completely agree with you. It has shifted more in favor of buyers. So you do have more in your favor, being able to ask for things, being able to get interest rate buy downs, being able to get closing costs, being able to think about it, being able to make sure that the home is in the condition you want it to be and not having to waive those protections 100%. But I still need you to understand that there are places where you're going to make offers and there will still be multiple offers. And then it's up to you to decide how bad you want that home. And we'll talk strategy on how to do that without exposing you too much to any detriment. What else is there? Lenders, approvals, pre-quals, accessibility to them, being a team player, having the right team around you, having that support system, the right lender that's there that's going to communicate in the right way. What do you do? Is it better? Where did I put it? Right here, financing available funds, still seeing multiple offers, rate buy downs. Is it better for your buyer to buy the rate down or to try to get a lower price? I don't know what's better for them. I can show you what would be more beneficial to your payment. I don't know if it's better for you though. So let's talk to my team players that's accessible to me at all times so we can talk about these things. Let's look at this scenario. Look, the home's listed for $400,000 and you're at a 6.5% interest rate. If you try and go down to 380, that's $20,000. That'll save you about $100, $100 a month. That's all it's going to save you because you're never going to pay 380 for the home. You're going to pay X amount per month. So that's $100 less. What if we asked for a $400,000 home and we asked for a 3 to 5% credit? Depending on how much money you're putting down, even on a conventional loan, you can get a 3% credit. You can get a 5% credit if you're putting more than 10% down. Let's get that credit and let's use some of that to buy the rate down. Here, let's talk to my lender and let's see what that difference would be. Let's see what the payment would be, 400 at 6.5%. And let's ask him at, 400 at 6% and 380 at 6.5%. Let's see what that difference is. Can we do that? Here you go. Here's the side-by-side comparison. Which one makes more sense to you? You're payment driven, right? Payment driven. So they see 380. Oh, I've never paid full price for anything. Sometimes paying full price isn't a horrible thing. Sometimes you want to pay full price because you get the credit back. And yes, I paid full price, but my payment will be lower than if I paid 10,000 less because I structured it the right way. Do we use the money for a rate buy down or do we use the money for closing costs? Would you rather have the lower monthly payment using the rate buy down and take cash out of your pocket to pay closing costs? Or would you rather use the credit to pay for your closing costs, right? And then pay a little bit more per month and not buy the rate down? Difference, say $150 a month. $15,000 in closing costs, $150 a month. How much $150 a month over the year? $1,800. So $1,800 in a year. How long will it take you paying $150 a month to get up to $15,000 in closing costs? About 8 years. So do you plan on being in this home for more than 8 years? If so, having the lower payment might make sense in doing the rate buy down. If not, maybe just paying the extra $150 a month for the next 3 years, 4 years. And then whenever you decide to move into the next home or whatever that is, it makes more sense. So you can keep the cash in your pocket and use the cash to pay your closing costs down. So those are conversations that you need to have. Which one makes most sense to you? I don't know. It's up to you. Let's see this. This is so true. Dealing with a listing agent right now that doesn't have any docs on MLS and a $1.5 million condo is so frustrating. Absolutely. And that's why that makes it even more complex and complicated for us when they're not doing that. If the docs were there and the listing is complete, my buyer would have more confidence. 100%. And us as the agent would have more confidence. If, as you know, for the listing side and for a buyer side, I would have so much more confidence in a complete listing as a buyer's agent to be able to convey that confidence to my buyer that this is a good home, this is a good agent, they've represented it properly, and here's why. And we present all of those things to them. If anyone has buyers looking in Parrish, West Bay Homes is offering a $35,000 credit to buyers. Dang. So that's pretty competitive. And you wonder why your listing may not be selling because it's priced in the same range as a new build that's offering a $35,000 credit. They're also for buyers. What other options are there? For our rent to own options, there's Divvy, there's Home Partners. They're still an option. They're still there. Rent is crazy. I'll say rent is crazy. It's okay. Rent is crazy. I want them thinking that rent is crazy, but the market's not crazy. The market's just complex. It's competitive. It's complicated. That's why you need me. Rental market's freaking nuts. You really don't even want to mess with that. Let me see if one of these options works. If not, you know that you can always go and rent, but why not put yourself in a better position? And here's some of the things you can do. Also, programs like Ribbon and Knock are still available to your buyer. And they have just pivoted their product to provide a different value to the buyer in this market. And you should know what those things are. Interest rate conversations. Interest rates are so high. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. My dad has a 2.5% interest rate. My mom, they refinanced. I can't believe I'm going to be paying 6.5%. Most people have gotten away from that a little bit. They've been able to see that the way that the economy has been, that it's pretty much it's going to stay like this for a little bit. We'll see some ups and downs. We'll probably see some dips too, but we're going to see a lot of this. They realized that that was an anomaly. Everybody's starting to come around to that, so that's good. But if not, that's your job to show them that. Take some of the graphs that we've sent out to you, that we've shown you. We have tons and tons of data for you to show. Look, I mean, if you go all the way back to here, the average interest rate over the last, was it 30 years or, I'm sorry, 15 years is like 7%. And even longer than that, it's even higher. So what else? It's complex for buyers. Should I buy? Well, let's talk about your scenario. How much are you going to pay in rent? Well, I pay this. Now, does that lease have a automatic increase in it? And if it doesn't have an automatic increase in it, you should be scared. I would almost rather have an automatic increase in my rent than wonder if at the end of the year, when I go to renew it, my landlord's going to say, hey, rent's going up. And rent's going up significantly because the neighbor just rented their home for $2,500 and you're only paying $19,000. I'd rather have a small increase in it every month, maybe. So there's a lot to think about and a lot to talk about. How about I'm going to wait for foreclosures? Let me tell you why that's not the best idea. Let me tell you a little story about my home. That's what I would tell them. Let me tell you a little story about my home. I bought my home for X, and over the last 3 years, I've gained 70% equity in that home in the Tampa Bay area. So my home that was $500,000, 70% equity on top of that is $350,000. So my $500,000 home is now an $850,000 home. My payment was X. Now that my payment is this, I'm sitting here saying, hey, my insurance is going to go up. My taxes went up. I can't afford that. Well, I only paid $500 for it, and I probably put 5%, 10% down. So when I paid $500 for it, my loan was only $450 to $475. And now it's worth $850. If I can't afford my payment, I'm selling it, not getting foreclosed on, even if I'm in a position where I can't afford the payment. Now, what if you've only owned your home for 6 months and something like that happens? Yes, it may happen. But what's happened in the last 6 months? The market has slowed. Yes, there are still home sales, things happen, but the market has slowed a little bit. And those are not going to be a significant amount of foreclosures. Those are going to be the ones that you watch out for. But then here's the other side. There will be foreclosures. Yes, there's going to be. But do you have the in with the banks? Are you buddy like all chummy with the bank manager, the asset manager? Do you have his contact info? Does he send you deals all the time? No. Who's he sending the good deals to? He's either sending them to the county courthouse, or he's sending them to his good old boy network that he knows will buy them, but not just buy one, because I'm not messing around with just one. I want to sell off this lot of them that are not performing. I'm going to sell a bunch of them off and you're going to pay me X. And that's just easy. I'll just go sign it over. So unless you know the guy, have a good relationship with the guy, I've done this before. When it pops up as a pre-foreclosure or a foreclosure on Zillow, you're not buying that home. You don't have cash. You can't get a loan. You don't know the people to contact. I don't even have their contact info. You got to wait till it comes on market. So no, you're not buying a foreclosure. You're waiting until it comes on market after somebody already flipped it, or the bank decided they were going to try it on market in the condition that it's in. And then you could buy it, but you can't buy it with your FHA loan or your VA loan because the condition's not going to be good. It won't pass the appraisal. So am I going to wait for foreclosures? There's your complexity to it. The Ribbon not doing their program on hold. Knock is good. There you go. Let's see. It's complicated. So it's complex. It's complicated. How do you know if you have a buyer or seller? A seller in this market, we have to fully vet them. That's what our pre-qualifications are for. Buyer pre-quals, not pre-qual for a loan, buyer pre-qual. Use your lifestyle profile checklist, meet them in person, get on Zoom. One way that I like to create some connection with them, get a phone call from someone who wants to be a buyer, meet them in person. It's one thing that a lot of people are really projecting right now. Meet them in person. So give them one for free. I will give you one meeting at a house or one meeting at my office or one meeting on Zoom. I'll give you one for free before I ask you to do something. I will give you something, and when I give you something, I'll ask for something in return. So it's complicated. What are the differences between an as-is contract and a residential contract? We just went through this last week, talking about somebody sending offers on an as-is contract. Now, as a seller's agent, they send me an as-is contract and say, seller to take care of any and all unpermitted work, open permits, expired permits, blah, blah, blah. And then our inspection period will begin the minute you tell me you've taken care of all of this stuff. We don't know of any unpermitted work. We haven't done it. So how do I know what I need to take care of or don't need to take care of? Number one. Number two, this is an as-is contract. You're taking it as is. Go away. Number three, if you want that, I'm going to counter you back on a residential contract with repair limits, because that contract already has the verbiage that covers it. So, but it's complicated. Do I do that? Do I counter back with that? Do I just strike through it and do the as is and tell them to, go pound salt? Depends. Do we have enough interest in the home? Do we want to sell the home? Do we need to sell the home? Do we know of any issues on the home? What are the differences between financing for a buyer? Buyer, is it better for you to do FHA, 3.5% down? Is it better for you to do a conventional 3% down? Do you qualify for both? VA, is it better for you to do VA, or is it better for you to do a conventional? When you get to the higher price points, is it smart for you to do a jumbo loan, or do they have a different product? Is there a portfolio product your bank offers? There's a lot of differences in the financing. How much of a credit can you get? As a buyer needs more closing costs. How much of a credit can you get? Well, for conventional 3% down or 5% down, you can get a 3% credit. 10% or greater, you can get a 5% credit. FHA, you can get up to 6. VA, you can get up to 8. So how do we know? What about as a seller? Which one do we take? Hey, I've got 3 offers. Here's what they are. There's this one, and this one. Which one is the best one? What type of financing it is? How much money are they putting down? Have you talked to their lenders? Have you gone through all of those things? Knowing every blank on a contract, whether you're a buyer or seller, knowing every blank on that contract, because price is not the only term. And it's not always the most important term. Because if I've got 3 offers all at the same price, price becomes the least important term. Now it doesn't matter. Yeah, they're all the same. So now we got to look at everything else. That's not important to me anymore, because I know I can get my price. I need to get my terms. Every blank is different. Translating this market into a successful sale, being able to advise your buyer on how to present offers and being able to advise your seller on how to select offers. Escalation clauses. We are still using escalation clause. How do we know when to use one? Perfect scenario, 1.4 million listing, multiple offers, put in an escalation clause, offer the number you wanted to offer. Let's just say it was $1.2 million. I wanted to offer 1.2. Good. Offer 1.2. Give them an escalation clause up to whatever you're willing to pay. Are you willing to pay 1.4? Yeah, I'd pay 1.4 for it. I really want it for less though. At 1.4, it starts to stretch my confidence. Good. Offer the 1.2, escalate up to 1.4. Be willing to pay 10,000 more than the next offer up to 1.4. And that's how you get a contract on one in the 1.28, 1.29 range instead of 1.4 that they were asking. You don't have to give them what they're asking. Use an escalation clause. But it's complicated. So if you want to uncomplicate these things, show up for a training. Use the next level resource center. Use the bulletproof listing process and buyer process. Be knowing of what the programs are that are out there that will help your buyer or your seller. Use the tools that you have like Moxie and Dotloop and the spreadsheets and accessible staff, that over 30 plus people on staff that are here ready, willing, and able to help. And it's competitive. Now this is going to be the easiest one for you, because this is appraisal contingency on an as-is contract. It's built into your financing contingency. It says it right in there. I covered that last week too. So this is going to be the easiest one for you because it's the we, not the me. It is about we, not me. So first of all, stop saying there's low inventory. NAR, like in 2022, there were 6 million sales. 5.95 million home sales. How do you have the second most sales ever in history? Last year, the year before, 2021 was the most. It was like 6.1 million home sales. How do you have the second most amount of sales in history with no inventory? If we didn't have inventory, we wouldn't have buyers buying homes, and we wouldn't have the second most amount of home sales ever. So there was not low inventory. There was extremely high demand, the most high demand you ever saw in history. Now what we're running into is now you can start to say we are in a high demand as well as a low inventory market. Before, we was high demand and we had normal inventory. When we look at our numbers from 2019, we were putting nearly the same amount of homes on the market that we were doing in 2018 and 2019. But at that point, we had 500 to 700 homes on the market that we were marketing. That's what we did in 2018, 2019. We would put about the same amount of listings on the market, and we had 500 to 700 at any given time. During the last 2.5 years, we were putting the same amount of homes on the market, but we only had 90 to 100 homes on the market because they all sold. It wasn't low inventory, it was high demand. Now what we're seeing is high demand still, but lower inventory. That's why we've had a 20% drop in units. Our revenue is still up because prices are up, but the drop in units has occurred because there is low inventory and high demand still. We're still putting homes on the market. Not quite as many, but we're still putting them on the market. They are just still selling. And here's something to think about. The inventory only becomes low when you are not the listing agent. That's the only time you got to worry about inventory, is when you're not the listing agent. You know, think about, before it was like a dog track. You know, the dogs chase a rabbit. All they did was they threw a ton of dogs on the track and only had one rabbit. That was the buyers chasing the home. Now they've just added the same amount of dogs, but they put a couple more rabbits out there. So it's just kind of balanced out a little bit. But my fear is if we don't continue to put listings on the market, we could end up creating a similar scenario that we had last year with the multiple offers and having some troubles with buyers getting homes under contract. But it's competitive. How about Century 21, Realogy or Anywhere and Century 21 Beggins? Forgot to change that. Anywhere Real Estate and Century 21 Beggins. Do you know that they were still calling it Realogy Home Group? The RISMedia 2022 Power Broker Top 50. Realogy Brokerage was the #1 in sales volume, #1 brokerage in sales volume in the country. We didn't do the #1 in units. #1 units was 388,000. Realogy did 376,000. But look at the difference in volume. $246, what is that? $billion in volume. The next closest is 198 billion, 50 billion more than the next closest one in volume. So the top 50, Realogy is the number one, not Compass, not EXP, not Keller Williams, not any of those, Realogy. So you've got the number 20 brokerage out of over 14,000 companies with Century 21 Beggins in the world. It's competitive. Do you really want to compete against us? I work for the number 20 brokerage out of over 14,000 offices in the world. I wouldn't want to go up against us. We did $1 billion in sales each of the last 2 years. $1 billion in sales each of the last 2 years. We're the number one Century 21 in the Southeast United States. We've been in business for over 30 years. We've done over 50,000 transactions, have 8 offices now, 8 offices, 30 plus staff members, do daily training and have the latest tech available to us. So you don't need, the pedigree is there. You don't need to have anything else. Then realtors, well, it is competitive out there. There's one realtor for every 80 people in Florida. Everyone knows one. And anyone can walk into any market and take over your neighborhood and your sphere of influence at any given time if you don't do your job. So that's why it is imperative for you to show up every single day with an attitude and an intention that we will not participate in any of the recessionary activities of this real estate market or the economy. I'm going to act with intention. I'm going to act with a mindset that will empower me, and I will create the market. If you can act like that, then you will already be winning if you can start off with that every day. And with that said, make sure there's nothing else in here. We're good. With that said, you guys have an amazing Wednesday. It is March 8th. You guys have a happy Wednesday. If you need anything else, we are always available to you. Have a wonderful day.